Hey guys, this is Danielle over at the Collective Genius. Do you want to learn from the most brilliant real estate investors who have scaled their business to the next level? Our leadership team, comprised of the most elite investors in the nation, is growing. And I am honored to announce that Pennsylvania real estate investor Eric Brewer is coming on board. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Welcome. And it is
Thank
an honor to have you. Eric, can you tell us what will your core focus be now that you have come on board the CG team, both for CG Select and CG Premier?
I think where I've really found a need and also a sweet spot for me where I've been successful has been predominantly in sales and marketing and also team building. I think it's the one or two things that I've done well within my own business that I've got a pretty good response from the folks inside of Collective Genius. When we get together and talk and network and chat about what our business needs and what it has, I always find like I'm able to typically help people out with those two core functions. So I'm excited about doing more of that.
That's awesome. And because of that reason, you are also what we refer to as a CG Select trainer, and you've been hosting monthly sales trainings, not just for our Select community, but for our Premier members as well, and even some of their leadership staff. What have your monthly sales trainings been about so far? And what are some of the key nuggets our members have been able to take away and apply to their business?
So it's a really good question. I think it's all been very helpful, and I try and do my best to prepare for those trainings and make sure that it's something that's an actionable item. I've attended a lot of trainings and a lot of different, networking mastermind groups, and I've always struggled to be able to take what I learned and implement it. So when I personally interact with members, whether it's at the meetings or during these trainings that we do for me once a month, I try and make it a very actionable item, like literally something they can leave that meeting and go and implement or do themselves, depending on the size of their business, almost the next day. So our last two trainings were very, very small portions of a very sometimes complicated sales or acquisitions process. And it was just one little thing that if you did today, even if you did it poorly, would have such a big impact on your results that it would be worth spending time and energy on to go from being bad to being good at it. And so for me, I try and make it very actionable items that are easy to implement or easy to get started with that would net big results.
And I've seen your presentations too. And I have to say, from my own perspective, it's a huge value add month over month, and we appreciate that.
Sure.
How long have you been a real estate investor? And can you tell us a little bit about your primary market and your niche?
Yeah, so I started in 2005, so about 16 years now. And I got started, I had transitioned from being in the automobile business and had sort of cut my teeth in sales and management in the car business and went from a very entry-level position, worked my way up to upper-level management, and sort of just got burned out and was looking for a change and something where I had a little bit more control over my schedule, and landed in real estate. Ended up partnering with someone that I was in the car business for quite some time. And so that's how I got my start. And we started out predominantly as just fix and flip. So back in 2005, the market was just starting to kind of go crazy. It was really hard to buy property, but it was pretty easy to sell. Values were on their way up. And we bought almost everything at auctions, sheriff sales, and networking with real estate agents and buying from the MLS. Obviously, the market changed very drastically over the next 3 years and became really easy to buy properties because there was this massive influx of foreclosures and short sales. And, so we grew our business from about 70 deals our first year to at the end of our second full year, we were doing 200, and I've done 200 deals just about every year since then. And for the last 2 years, we've been closer to 400. So our niche really in the very beginning was fix and flip. We bought bank-owned properties, we renovated them, we sold them, slowly accumulated a few rentals over the last 16 years, put way more of an emphasis on that since I've joined Collective Genius. for about the last 4 years. And now today our niche looks a little bit different. It's about 40% wholesale, 40% turnkey, where we buy, renovate, rent, and then sell and manage to investors all across the country, and even a few up in Canada and outside of the country, but mostly here in the U.S. And then the other portion of our business is a little bit of some wholesale. We do a lot of novations here, which is something that I've trained on and shared with the group. That's been had a huge impact on our business. So that's the blend of our business. Our niche is really just direct to seller marketing, and then finding the best exit strategy for each piece of inventory that we're able to bring in at a discount.
Right. I appreciate that. And you mentioned that you've been a member with CG for the last 4 years. What kind of inspired you to join initially, kind of upfront?
Well, it was right around. So if you think about 4 years ago, that's when the market really started to not recover, because in my opinion, the recovery process started back in 2010, but around 2015 or so, maybe a little bit after that, there started to be a lot more attention towards wholesaling, fixing, flip, and you started to see a lot of people gravitate back towards maybe doing that as a side hustle, and then eventually growing that to their full-time career. We saw a ton of people, lending wise, start to get back into lending. Hard money started to make a big recovery. Real estate investing started to become cool again. A lot of people were scared of it because of when the market had, had that drastic adjustment back in 2008. Banks were a little bit gun shy. And around 2015, I started to see in my market a lot of that change. And I couldn't buy properties at a high enough volume and deep enough discount from the sources that I had been doing, for the last 7 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And that prompted me to go searching for direct to seller solutions. I ended up networking with a gentleman by the name of Brad Chandler, who's a longtime member of Collective Genius. And he was like, dude, you got to join this group. Literally everything that I do, I've learned from this group. And I think whatever it is that, you need to get you to that next level, you'll find in the group. So I applied. I had a short phone call, sort of interview process. I was invited out to a meeting. My first meeting was in San Diego. I came out, got a tremendous amount of value, and was asked to join the group, and accepted and joined the group. And that's sort of how that all came about. It was a referral.
That's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brad Chandler introduced me to the group.
All right. Well, a big shout out to Brad Chandler. Thank you for that referral. Now, Eric, I know you've been obviously a longtime member of CG, and now joining our leadership team, you've seen kind of firsthand quarter after quarter. We discuss how to be innovative as a community, and our members share what's working well for them in their current market quarter after quarter. What has your own business gained from CG?
Well, if you think about what my niche was, right, 10 years ago, 15 years ago that I talked about versus where I am now, mm-hmm. all of that transformation from the beginning to now, I can directly attribute back to the group. It wasn't necessarily stuff that I even went looking for. There was multiple periods where I can remember attending a meeting and hearing something and it's sparking interest. And I made a note and I was like, I'm going to look into that later. And then when later came, depending on the opportunity, I made a decision about pivoting my business and making that a focus, not just something that we were considering or dabbling in, namely turnkey. Like turnkey wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't something that I was familiar with and didn't know anything about it. Until 2 years ago, I took a leap of faith just after a meeting where I had some very matter-of-fact conversation with some of the bigger and better turnkey providers inside of the group. And they gave me the confidence that I needed to go out and buy 30 properties with that committed exit strategy. And sure enough, I sold all 30 within a matter of 60 days, and we sort of hit the ground running and have not turned back since. So almost every aspect of my business, whether it's the way we hire, who we hire, we went from 10 employees 5 years ago to almost 50 today. I've actually been able to build I consider, we even today have a human resources person. Like, to me, when you have an HR person, you've become legitimate, right? Like, prior to that, it was sort of just a guy that, owned a company and had some, quality people that worked with him. And, we bought and sold real estate, where today I feel like we have a legitimate business that I can occasionally step away from, not have to, constantly micromanage or measure every aspect of my business. I have some key personnel that I've brought on board and have been able to grow and empower to run the business in my absence. However often that tends to be. I haven't become completely comfortable with, being an absentee owner. But I do have now the ability to spend far more time at home with my family or on vacation, or just doing more things here at work, that are a little bit bigger picture, for turnkey. For me 2 years ago, that took a large investment for me time wise to go out and research that and make sure that it was a safe place for us to transition into. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if Collective Genius hadn't helped me build a team and give me the opportunity to go work on bigger projects that may pave the way for our future. And luckily for us, it worked out, and it's now almost half of our business.
That's awesome to hear, and a really great story to share. And I appreciate your time today, Eric. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. But to connect and network with Eric at our next event, you can visit us at learnmoreaboutcg.com to request your invitation. And Eric, we will see you there.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Talk to you next time.